hate or protest or seek to intimidate people, we will remove their right to be here. Islamist extremists and far-right groups are spreading a poison. That poison is extremism.
The UK is taking away protesters' visas and sending students back home from college. Hey everyone, it's great to see you again on UK Immigrant Alert. We're glad you came. We have some interesting news to share today. The UK has begun to take away the visas of protesters and send university students back home. Keep reading to find out everything. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and use the bell to get more information. Let's get right to it. With new visa rules, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's government in the UK is being tough on protests and national security. The goal of these steps is to take away the visas of foreigners who are involved in activities that are seen as dangerous or chaotic. A Palestinian student's visa was cancelled after she took part in a pro-Palestinian protest at her university. This policy recently got a lot of attention. This move is similar to what former US President Donald Trump said about people whose actions caused problems on American campuses having their visas revoked. People are wondering why the UK did what it did when it did it and what might happen as a result, especially since general elections are coming up soon. This worry is shown by the case of Dana Abu Kamar, a Palestinian law student in the UK. After she took part in a pro-Palestinian protest, her student card was taken away. Both during and after the protest, Dana Abu Kamar spoke out against oppression with joy. But the UK government saw what she said as a possible threat to national security, which is why they took away her visa. The deaths of 15 family members in Gaza have been a sorrow for Dana Abu Kamar. She says that the government's actions are unfair and violate her rights. The lawyers for her have filed a human rights appeal against this ruling, questioning the government's reasoning. This situation shows how delicate the balance is between protecting national security and protecting individual rights. This makes us look more closely at what the government is doing and what it means. The UK Home Office says that people can have their visas revoked if they show unacceptable extremist behavior that stirs up hate and could lead to violence between communities. The government said that Dana Abu Kamar was a threat to public safety. A Home Office spokesperson stressed that they do not comment on specific cases, but that state permits can be revoked when they are linked to activities that pose a danger to national security or public order. This point of view shows that the government's acts have bigger effects. It shows how important it is to find a balance between people's rights and the need to protect the public and the country. The big worry is still how radical behavior might affect society as a whole, even though the details of each case may be different. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has made it clear that discrimination on college grounds will not be tolerated at all. He just recently said that the University Jewish Chaplaincy Service would get an extra PS 500,000 in cash to help Jewish students in need. The government says that pro-Palestinian protests are linked to hate speech and risks to national security. This project is part of a larger plan to deal with these problems. Some people say that the government's position could make it harder for people to criticize the government without being extremist, which could limit free speech and calm protest. British university protests have been mostly peaceful compared to those in the US, where there have been violent scenes and heavy police presence on campuses. There are different ways to handle protests, and this difference shows how important it is to protect both free speech and public safety. A lot of different kinds of people, including Jewish students and professors, show their support for the Palestinians at these protests. But the UK's new rules show a move toward more strict oversight and control over the activities of international students. This is similar to worries in the US about civil rights and free speech. A lot of important questions are raised by the legal and moral discussion about taking away visas for protesting. Dana Abu Kamar says that her actions don't threaten public safety and that the fact that her visa was revoked is a sign of a bigger problem with free speech. Her appeal shows the conflict between steps to protect national security and people's rights, especially when it comes to political speech. This conversation shows how important it is to carefully balance protecting national security with protecting basic rights. The timing of these measures right before the UK's general elections makes people wonder if they are being done to show a strong stand on national security and immigration for political reasons. People may change their minds and vote differently because of what the government does, especially those who care about national security and immigration control. These steps could make people who value civil freedoms and the right to peaceful protest less likely to support them, though. It's still not clear how these measures will work out or how they will affect the election. They might make sense to some voters, but they could also be met with opposition from people who think they violate personal rights. In the end, the balance between civil rights and security measures will still be an important problem for voters to think about when they go to the polls. The UK's new visa rules, especially the fact that people who take part in protests can have their visas taken away, are a big change in how the government handles immigration and national security. The case of Dana Abul-Kamar shows how complicated and controversial these steps are. As the debate goes on, it is important to find a balance between safety worries and protecting people's rights and freedoms. The current court cases and public reactions will definitely have an effect on how immigration and national security policies in the UK are changed in the future. It is very important for policymakers to think about what these actions will mean and look for answers that protect both safety and civil liberties. A fair and effective method can only be reached by carefully deliberating and taking into account different points of view. Immigration and national security are always changing, and the UK government's recent moves show how difficult it is to keep things in order while still protecting people's rights. People will continue to argue and look closely at the government's position on cancelling visas for protesters. This is especially true since general elections are coming up soon. In the next few months, it will become clearer how these policies have changed the country's politics and society. What do you think about this? Feel free to tell us in the area below. We want to hear what you have to say, so please leave your ideas below. If you want to know about the newest changes to UK visas and immigration rules, subscribe to our feed. That's all for today. Thanks for seeing the whole movie. We hope that the information is helpful to you. We'll see you in the next movie. Take care until then.